Okay,
Hello, hello.
how are you, Ugo?
I'm amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming.
The birthday surprise downstairs was beyond. I wasn't even ready for that.
I'm glad.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
So, what we want to do today really is just speak to you about your life, about what you've done successfully, how proud you've made us as Africans, as Nigerians, and also just a word for the up and coming, all right, about the entrepreneurial spirit. Considering now that there's a recession, there's a lot of thought about how can I make it, is it worth being a fashion stylist? So for those of you who don't know, I'm speaking to Ugo Muzie, our very own Nigerian internationally acclaimed stylist and designer. His hats have been worn by Beyonce, Mary J. Blige. Who was the handsome guy I saw wearing your hat? One of those actors, fully ripped. What's his name? Really handsome actor.
Which Floyd Mayweather.
Oh, okay, that's good enough. That's good enough.
Yeah.
So Ugo, what it is years ago, I ventured into fashion styling as an image consultant.
Nice.
Reason being, it was the biggest thing in image consulting, or the easiest way to introduce image consulting in Nigeria. But right now, I find that a lot of people, every man and his dog is a stylist.
Yeah.
It's a serious profession. First of all, I want to ask you, have you met any stylists in Nigeria? What do you think also about how it's done here? What's your take?
Well, I mean, it's funny because I find the same thing also overseas as well. Now the career of styling has become actually quite watered down. You know, I think overall the whole fashion industry now has become a little bit more accessible. Well, a lot more accessible than it has been in the past. And, you know, with things like social media and Instagram and whatever, it's made everything seem a lot easier than it is. You know, everybody wants to only really show the glitz and the glam. So that's what you're gonna really get. And that's what's gonna inspire people to want to be stylists. You know, so you have a lot of people who have, you know, interesting personal styles, that have like nice, interesting taste in fashion or whatever, or have access to designer clothing, and they have friends who tell them they have good style, and all of a sudden they feel like that's all it takes to become a stylist. They feel like, okay, cool, I can shop and I have cool clothes, well, I can be a stylist too. Well, that's not the case.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So tell us, what does it take to be a stylist? First of all, do you need to be formally trained?
I don't believe that it takes formal education exactly, to make it as a stylist. I personally didn't have formal education in styling, but I was educated in terms of marketing and advertising. So I went to college for business and advertising, and I think that's most importantly what really made my career last and give me the longevity I have now. Because, like, you know, the eye for styling to me is a natural talent. You know, all of us are individually creative in some sort. You know, I feel like as an artist, all of us have an eye or a certain aesthetic. You know, it's a matter of being confident and knowing how to translate your aesthetic and refine it to other people's in general. You know, so for me, in terms of styling, I was able to, you know, use my knowledge in marketing and my education in advertising to put it all together, you know, because, you know, in this day where everybody's a stylist, it's a matter of what you can offer, you know, what differentiates you from other people, and what you can offer your clients. You know, for me, what I offer my clients is the overall image consulting package, like you said, you know, and that requires having your own network in fashion, having your own, you know, respect and credibility, being able to have access to certain things ahead of time, previous times, and things of that sort. And I feel like, you know, those that are credible stylists, that are repeatable stylists, you know, and those that aren't, there's a clear difference based on the kind of clients they have, the kind of jobs they do. And the only unfortunate thing is, like, you know, like, those that aren't in fashion don't know the difference. So you just see like stylists everywhere. So it's kind of watered down the term and the title. It's just like, oh, okay,
I'm a stylist.
I'm a stylist, we're all stylists.
Exactly.
You know?
So you've heard from Ugo. The first point I want to make, I don't want this to be a sort of conversation where at the end of it, like a typical show, I come back and say, well, thank you, Ugo. So we've learned 1, 2, 3. I want to speak as we go along. So the first thing we've heard is your network is your network. If you're a stylist, It helps that you know designers, that you know people in the media, and you're able to push the brand of whoever it is that you're styling. My next question would be, and I had to write this all down because you don't get the opportunity of speaking to an Ugo every day. How is it a viable business? So I'm asking you this because the people who have the innate talent or eye, the eye for aesthetic, which I agree with you is one thing you have. I mean, you can get all the training you want, but if you don't have that eye for aesthetic, right, I believe you're wasting your time.
It's true.
So now this person has the eye for aesthetic. I know a lot of young people who are great stylists, but I've watched them year on year. They're not growing.
Yeah.
How can I'm asking as a young entrepreneur now, how can I turn fashion styling into a viable business? What do I need to do?
Honestly, the first step is identifying what kind of stylist you are and exactly what your niche is as a stylist. You know, there's so many ways and avenues, from television costume design to, you know, red carpet styling, to advertisement styling, to commercial styling, to films and movies. And I think it's really important that you understand your niche and what you're actually good at. Like for me, I understood my niche a very long time ago. You know, I started off working with women. I had a couple of female clients that I worked with full time. And it wasn't until I got like my first male clients that I was able to really show like that, like my true aesthetic, and like really show my work and get a real muse. You know, I think it's really important for you to get a muse and know your aesthetic and master that. A lot of people just come and want to take every job, want to do everything and take everything. And it's great for experience, but at the end of the day, you will never get respect as a stylist until you have like something you're known for, a client you're known for, or something to build off of and work off of. You know, and that takes a lot of time. You know, that's going to take a lot of practice, a lot of free things, a lot of like, you know, working with different photographers, collaborations. But overall, like what's going to really build a longevity or a long career in styling is you identifying your own particular aesthetic and being able to be sought after for that.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. What is the first thing you consider when styling an individual?
The first thing I consider when styling an individual is exactly what their goal is. You know, I think it's really important for, as a stylist, to know your clients in and out, to know your client's vision, to know the type of lifestyle they like, to know the kind of places they go to understand what kind of like vision they see for themselves. You know, because as a stylist, the job, you know, like the wardrobe and the style and the clothing is only a very, very small part of the job. You know, like the main job of a stylist is to make your client look and feel confident. You know, and in order to really achieve that confidence out of a client, you have to know what makes them confident. You have to know what exactly they're trying to go for. And with that, it takes a certain level of research, you know, and, you know, a lot of stylists that are out here, upcoming stylists, established stylists, feel like it's their job to make their clients trendy or to look cool. And then you end up missing a big mark, because like not every trend is for everybody, not every style is for everybody. And then you have you see certain people out in wearing these outfits with designers, but you know it's not their style. You know they're uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. You know there's a disconnect, and that's up to the stylist to really understand. You know, it's not about what you wear; it's about how you wear it and just the way you put it together.
This is something I've said over the years. In talks or speaking to people, I've often said, for women, for instance, right, there's 5 clear style preferences: classic or dramatic. So if you take a classic woman like me, who likes very clean lines, and you try to make me romantic and girly, there's no how I will exude confidence.
Yeah, it's true.
So this thing of, because it's in fashion or because some designer just released it, I want to put it on my client.
Right.
I think it's so wrong. So I'm really happy that you made that point.
You see it all the time. You show there's every single red carpet, there's a girl or a guy wearing something that's that was not made for you.
Mm-hmm. And what is it with guys these days? I just have to ask.
Yeah.
Big, small, football size, and the skinny trousers. What is going on?
I don't know. I mean,
it's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone, and me particularly, I always preach dressing for comfort. And to me, there's nothing more uncomfortable than jeans that are way too tight. It's
Because
the most
it's-
uncomfortable thing you can wear.
I can just about imagine.
Especially when you're a big guy and your jeans are too
Yeah.
tight, you can't even really move. You know, I mean, I think it's people who like take fashion too forward
And too seriously.
and too serious,
It's not that
and
serious.
don't find their medium in between.
Yeah.
And you get that.
So I'm glad it's not something that must. So I believe in the notion that fashion is art and style is science.
Mm.
So why I say this is fashion is the art. So yeah, clothes, look at what I'm wearing, the sleeves, the print, everything, all that is art. But putting it on someone is where the science comes in, because there's the body lines,
It's true.
there's the shape, there's the proportions, there's all of these things. So is that the same for you?
I totally agree. I think style definitely is a science to it. There's some mathematics in it.
Exactly.
Because when the clothes come together, it's for sure an equal equation. You know, it makes sense. When there's one thing off from the symmetry or the geometry, it just shows. It's all about a silhouette, and I think every real stylist knows that it's really all about the silhouette and the comfort of the client. So for sure,
Okay.
I agree.
Thank you.
Mhm.
What 5 things must definitely be in your styling kit?
Okay, 5 things in my styling kit. 100% you should always have clips or pins. You should have tape, double-sided tape and regular tape. You should have emergency sewing kit just in case, like neutral colors, black and white. And you should have a lint brush for lint. And was that 4 or 5?
4.
4.
Was that 4 or 5? 4, I think.
And you should always have a pair of scissors.
Fantastic.
I think the styling kit is pretty basic, and it's unfortunate when people don't know what to bring or even bring it at
Or
all.
just turn up
It's crazy.
and say, I'm a stylist. Okay. How does a great stylist like yourself build his portfolio?
I think as far as building a portfolio, it's extremely important that you build your portfolio from the bottom up. Like for me, I started off as an intern, working with assisting stylists, assisting photographers, and that's how I built my portfolio, was really working and just testing things out. I think that's the best way is when you're assisting people is the best way to really understand and learn. You get the hands-on experience and you learn making mistakes that are not your personal mistakes. It's like you get access to clients, access to everything, but you can really, really learn and apply your own, get your own skills built from that way. So when people ask me how to get into fashion or styling, the first thing I always say is you have to really humble yourself and get a job as an intern or an assistant with somebody who you like their aesthetic, or you're inspired by, or you like their career, who can motivate you, because there's no other way to really do it. Fashion is a very cliquey thing. It's a very cliquey thing all over the world. It's one industry, and you have to really, really work your way inside. It's not easy to come in. It takes more than just talent. It takes a network. It takes respect. It takes recommendations. People want to know who you work with, who can recommend you, and who can refer you. All that matters. So it's very important, as an upcoming stylist or designer or fashion, anything, for you to really figure out, a fashion house or a fashion person you can work under, because that's really what's going to help you grow and you can learn the fastest. If you go out and try and get your own clients as an assistant or as an intern, chances are you're not going to ever really get a real client who can trust you off the bat with no experience. So it's really the first thing is putting ego to the side, starting from the bottom, and just learning from the bottom and building way to the top.
Thank you so much. So point number 2, you've heard Uro, and it's something that I see in this society a lot. I don't understand why people do not want to learn from other people. You just buy a kit, pins, doubled, if and when they do have it, and think you can style the next person. Yes, YouTube is a great source, magazines are great sources. There's nothing like learning under someone, and there's nothing wrong with being an intern, and you've heard him working your way up. I think it's about humbling yourself, and so that's another key point I want to take away, which is humbling yourself.
Absolutely.
My final question, let's talk about passion to profit. So it was someone who said to me that no one person should have one stream of income. I heard that was a line from, was it Warren Buffett? He said you should have at least, the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. You have been, or you are in Nigeria, you've worked with GT Bank. Looking at the fashion industry, there's 2 things I want to take away from you or hear your point of view. First is, how do you think we can structure it better so it's a more lucrative industry? Because I think that the smaller businesses will help grow the economy. And then secondly, what other things can a stylist do in conjunction with fashion styling that could make them extra money?
Okay. To answer the first question, and it's great you mentioned GT Bank, because that's like the reason why I was here, and I got a chance to learn and experience and get a very, very quick crash course on the Nigerian fashion entertainment community and the production and the way things work. And, it was an amazing event. It was a great event, great turnout. But the only thing I felt like, overall the Nigerian industry is missing is a certain level of structure and like a fashion governing council of some sort. I feel like every place, like whether it's London or Paris or US, everywhere that has a fashion capital, or Tokyo, has a governing council that has to like pretty much dictate and set the standards of quality and of production for the fashion designers, for the stylists, and pretty much like set the rules of the standards to follow. Like in Lagos, I feel like every fashion production or show is starting from scratch. They're making up their own rules each time at each event. With that, there's going to be no consistency or real growth because it's not monetized. Like nobody's really following the real fashion calendar. At the end of the day, it's like if you organize a huge fashion event, for designers or for stylists, whatever it may be, and you don't properly market it to the fashion socials in the city, you're not getting the buyers, you're not getting the editors to come to the event, then it's like you're missing a big, huge chunk. It's like the fashion designers come and do a show just for entertainment. So it becomes all for entertainment. Nothing is getting really monetized. Before I came to Nigeria, and I did a lot of research on the business of fashion in Africa in general, and the state it is now, and what where it can go in the future. And one thing that I learned and stuck to me is just like in the BOF article, they mentioned that the Africa in Lagos fashion industry is worth $33 billion. That's what's accounted for. And they said that this is a multi-billion-dollar industry that's not monetized, that's not controlled, and that's like just all over the place.
Loose cannon.
It's a loose cannon, and they said, like, these are like Americans saying, they're like, if Africa can monetize, or if Lagos alone can monetize the fashion industry, they can really revolutionize the whole entire world. They can change the world with it. That as far as manufacturing, production, and just export in general, there's zero export of fashion coming out of Nigeria, and there's zero export, and there's like billions being made and being circulated here, but it's just all here. It's not being exposed properly, and I feel like that's what a proper fashion council that has the experience and has like the knowledge of how to really structure the fashion business can come here and can join with, whether it's the government or a certain house here, and really like govern the fashion industry. I feel like they can really make a big difference, because right now more than ever the world's eyes on Africa.
Looking to Africa, yes.
The entire world is looking here.
Because you can't. The thing is, for Nigeria, you can't ignore Nigeria.
You can't.
There's 200 odd million people, the most populous black nation on earth.
Yeah.
1 out of every 10 black people in the entire world is Nigerian.
Wow.
So, I hear you, and this is something that has been on my mind. A lot of fashion people, should I say, professionals, enthusiasts, curators, consumers, arbiters of style and fashion like myself have thought about this. So it's really welcome that you're saying that it's about time, and I'm hoping that you will take the first step.
With your help, we can do it. I really believe in it. I really believe in it.
100%. So thank you, Ugo.
Oh, you're so
Great
welcome.
speaking to you.
I couldn't thank you enough
And
for
I
your
know
time.
that this is the first of many, which will be sending loads of emails, asking you more questions.
Oh, absolutely. Keep
If you
them
could just
coming.
take 5 minutes in the whole week to say to young entrepreneurs, this is what you need to do, you can do it. You know, I mean, for me, it's like I can't smile enough that our own Nigerian brother is an international stylist.
Thank you so
I mean,
much.
I've seen Beyonce up close, but to style her. But well done.
Thank you.
And we wish you well. And happy birthday again.
I really appreciate it.
Yep.